And welcome back to ARAH. That is the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club here on YouTube. I am your host and I am your founder, Wild Bill Hardy. So, in the last video, we discussed um, Article 4, offices, and we discussed um, the founders and the club advisors. So, now we're going to get into your sector command officer and executive officer and what they do. So, if you are familiar with any of the other, like Star Wars clubs, especially, um, any organization really will have like a club CO, a club commanding officer, and then they'll have his assistant, his executive. And see, I picked, fancy little titles that were, military sounding because it was, part of um, the fun and the flair of, when I created this club. So, sector command was, it's, you know, big military, you know, um, organizational thing. So, everything is sector command because, well, I thought it was kind of cool. So, I mean, it may be cheesy, whatever. Um, So we're going to get into what is a sector command officer, what is a sector command executive officer, what it is that they do, and so on. So the sector command officer is the top Joe of the club. I mean, other than the founders, but they're the top Joe of the club for the like, oh man, I get ahead of myself. For the exception of us and the founders, club advisors. This officer is in charge of the whole club and answers to the club founders. Okay, so there's a pecking order there, right? So if I'm at the very top, right, that sector command officer, he answers to me. He answers to any club advisors that we have, right? And then the executive officer answers to him, to me. Okay, you're going to see this pecking order here. This role is one of two elected positions within this club, right? So we're not having a whole lot of various positions that are electable, right? I kind of took that from a little bit from the 501st, especially because, when they have elections, there's only two elections and they happen simultaneously at the same time. Obviously, well, simultaneously, same time, same thing. It was a double, whatever. So when the club does its elections, it's electing its club commanding officer. At the same time, the local chapter units are electing their chapter lead. In our case, we're teams. In their case, they're garrisons or squads for the smaller size. We only have a one size fits all. We don't do, oh, here's a major garrison and here's a sub group of that garrison called a squad. Well, we haven't grown big enough to get to that point yet, and I really don't see us doing that, because our teams are going to be state based. Like whatever state you reside in, that's the team you belong to, unless we discuss this, in the other in another video. But unless there's certain circumstances that would make for a better fit in being in one team as opposed to another. Yeah. So it's elected position, and I'll get into more about elections in the next section. Article 5 is all about elections, but I'm going to briefly say that there are term limits, and that's probably why we haven't really pushed real hard for any kind of elections in the last 13 years, because we don't have enough people to fill, and not enough people are interested in coming forward yet. I'm hoping that this series of videos inspires the membership to want to step up and help out and be more involved. I'm hoping for a new influx of membership. So But it is a term limit. And the reason why there's a term limit there is what I saw in my time in the 501st was that you had guys that would, they were CO forever and a day, year after year after year after year. And then the burnout kicked in, and the setting of traditions of just the way they did things, right? So like they, after a while, they became so rigid that they had zero interest in trying anything new or different from fresh blood. And that's the thing that I want to encourage, is that there's always going to be constantly new blood in leadership, whether they're good leaders or they're bad leaders. I mean, give them a crack at it, and to ensure that we have a good mix of leadership, and that it's membership participation. So so just like with the team leader, the sector command officer will be given the option to staff all the other top brass positions at their discretion. This is a perk of the position. For instance, yes, Devery, that means that you can be replaced in the future. And that's the way it's always supposed to have been. It's always been in our charter. Eric, Clyde, anybody else, it's at the whim of the sector command officer. He or she does have the right to choose their staff, who they can work with, and who will perform the functions as they see fit. Okay. The executive officer is just that. They're the number 2 in the club. They serve as the chief administrative assistant to the sector command officer, and this is an appointed position. Okay, so another thing that the sector command officer is that he oversees the tactical briefings. Like he is he's the guy with the gavel, as it were. This meeting's in order. He's the, I don't know what they call them, but he's at the head of the table, right? He's the one he or she is the one that lays out the plan for the day in that tactical briefing, the items that they're going to discuss, and if there's things to be voted on, they, if you've ever seen a city council meeting, right? Basically, it's like the mayor. He pushes, things forward for a yay or nay, right? He or she serves on the court-martial tribunal, right? Ideally, maybe not all of the top brass officers are involved in the court-martial, but I would like to have at least 5, right? And and the reason why that is I call it a tribunal for a reason, meaning there's multiple judges. It's a vote based on the evidence. And just like in the appellates, it's supposed to be a vote. Basically what that is, like, it's forcing a majority rule vote on the decision, so that power doesn't sit with any one specific person. That's the thought process there. It's the same thought process for tactical briefings. Everyone has a voice, and everyone has a means of voting yay or nay on an initiative. In military tribunals, it's to force. It's so that we don't have a hung jury, for one. It forces, there's an odd number, so it forces a decision one way or the other. And that's how I had intended it for, um, on the appellate side, the appeal side. I didn't want it all rest solely on me, because to be quite honest, I don't want to be a dictator. I want this to be a true republic style um, organization where, when I tell you, the membership, you have a voice, I mean it. You have a voice. So that's it for the sector command officer and the executive officer. They they oversee the tactical briefings. They oversee the military tribunals. Um, they are the top administrators of the club, and they answer to me. Okay. Um, so that's it. This is running a little long, so I'm going to end it now. Comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comment section below. You know how to get a hold of me, either on Facebook Messenger, or you can, I'd say email, but I'm very active on Facebook. So, I mean, that's probably, if you're needing an instant answer, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me personally. So, and that goes out to any of you who ever need to talk to the founder. When we have all these positions filled, it would be better to go through your proper chains of command. But I'm always at everyone's disposal. So, given that, Yo Joe, Cobra, have a great day. Knowing it's half the battle. We'll see you soon. Take care.